What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now.
Jimothy.
Now, ladies and gents, we are back with a very fun deck that does not involve True King of all calamities. Yes, we are here, ladies and gents, and we're looking at Speedroids. Now, this is a deck that is very combo heavy, and it's something that I just kind of like to mess about with, and especially play solitaire with, because there's so many routes that you can take to end up on some of those powerful extra deck monsters. So without wasting any more time, let's get into the deck. Now, what I will say, ladies and gents, that this deck is very much a fun deck. It's not going to be anything that you're going to be typically taking to regionals, but it can do very well at a locals. So starting us off, I've got a few one-offs. Now, bear in mind, ladies and gents, I'm still messing about with the ratios in this deck, so there are a few things that could be changed, but for the most part, I'm starting off with one Speedroid Domino Butterfly, one Speedroid Hexasorcer, and one Speedroid Malicious Magnet. Malicious Magnet allows you to target an opponent's monster upon its normal or special summon that your opponent controls, and synchro summon with it, which is quite a useful tool, to be honest. Depending on where you are in your game state, you can actually use this. Speedroid Hexasorcer and Speedroid Domino Butterfly, I'm literally using these two cards just for the pendulum effect. So basically, Speedroid Hexasorcer allows you to add one Wing Synchro monster from your banished or graveyard and put it straight back into the extra deck, and Speedroid Domino Butterfly allows you to add one of your banished wind monsters back to your hand, which is really useful. I've never summoned these, and I probably will never summon them, so that's my one-offs. Next up, we have one Speedroid Terratop. It's at 1 for a reason. If this ever came back to 2, especially with the cards that we have in game now, it's just absolutely, this is going to be a problem. You could actually tech in Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, because this is literally a free rank 3, because it allows you to special summon and then search upon its summon, which is useful. So definitely one Speedroid Terratop. Shame that it's not at 3 anymore. Next is its partner in crime, which is Speedroid Takatomborg. This used to be hella expensive. I have actually got one of these super rares before it got reprinted in maximum gold. It's a free special summon if you control a wind monster. You can also tribute it and special summon a Speedroid tuner from your deck. You do get locked into wins, however, but nonetheless, this is a powerful card. You can literally go so far with just the 2 cards, which is really powerful. So definitely a 3 of, in my opinion. Next up, we have a Armageddon Knight and a Foolish Burial on legs in the form of Speedroid Horse Silts. Really powerful card. Special summons a Speedroid monster upon its normal summon, and the turn that you, apart from the turn that you sent it to the graveyard, you can banish this from the graveyard and dump a wind monster, which is really useful. So one of our 2 powerful normal summons, ladies and gents. We only run, I believe it's 6 in this deck. Don't get me wrong. The other normal summon we run is Speedroid Marbled Machine. Now, upon its normal summon, you can search and add any Speedroid monster. So this literally is the rotor for the deck. Really powerful. Shame it's on a normal summon, to be honest, but it is what it is, and we actually needed a few more powerful normal summons. So powerful card in itself. Don't really use its pendulum effect, to be honest. Next up, we are running triple Speedroid Red Eye Dice. This actually allows you for some level modifications upon its normal or special summon. You do need to bear in mind it can miss timing, especially if you're trying to activate multiple effects in the chain. So you need to be wary of your chain links and try and resolve this to be able to be the last in the chain link, basically, so you can get all your other effects off without being hindered. But this allows level modification, and it's really powerful once per turn. So do keep that in mind. Next, we are running double Speedroid double Yo-Yo. So the reason why I run this at 2, ladies and gents, is because you do need some graveyard setup to be able to activate its effect, which is to special summon a Speedroid monster from your graveyard level 3 or lower. So it's an easy, especially if you've got some of your tuners in the grave, it's an easy synchro summon, basically. So you do want to run it at 2. I wouldn't run it at 3, mainly because if you see it going first, there's not much you can do with it. So yeah. Next up, we are running double Den Daiko Duke. I love this card. You can banish it from the graveyard. It just does everything. You can special summon a tuner. This is one of your Foolish Burial targets. You want to get him in the graveyard really quickly, and just to be able to proc his effect. Love him. Speedroid Den Daiko Duke. Next, we're playing some more extenders in the form of Speedroid Car Turbo. Again, this is one of the cards that locks you into wins, but if you do control a win monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and that's the main thing. It's a tuner nonetheless. You do get locked in, but because our deck is mainly Speedroids, we really don't have to worry about that restriction. Really powerful card, nice addition to the deck. This deck just can keep going and going and going. The amount of extenders that you play in this deck is crazy. Here's another one actually, Speedroid Rubber Band Plane. So Rubber Band Plane basically allows you to special summon itself when a card is special summoned to your field. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Speedroid card, it just needs to be a card. If you've got this in hand and you special summon, this can just jump out of your hand and put it onto field. It also can lower one of your opponent's monster's attack by 600, but that doesn't really come up, or I haven't found it to come up as often. So yeah, it's just a nice extender, to be honest. Again, running him at 2, I don't really want to see him until I've got a bit of setup, so 2 seems to be fine. We're also running a double Redhead Hasty Horse. This is another extender, as well as one Virtual World Nyan Nyan. Yes, we're not running any kind of VFD package in this deck, no, ladies and gents. This is simply here for its ability to revive itself from the graveyard if you normal or special summon a level 3 monster, which we do run a lot of in this deck. Redhead Hasty Horse can special summon into a column that contains no cards. It does blow itself up if a card is summoned to its column, but more times than not you're going to be actually using this to synchro summon. So definitely a nice extender, as well as being a target for your horse stilts in the form of Nyan Nyan. So really powerful cards. Next, we are onto the spells. Now, I don't play any traps in this deck at the moment, ladies and gents, and hand traps are gonna be, or we'll talk about hand traps in a moment actually. So running triple speed recovery. This is a fantastic card in Archetype Monster Reborn, and you can also banish it from the graveyard to add a Speedroid card from your graveyard back to your hand, which is just hella useful. You definitely want to see this card. Very powerful. Next up, now this is probably where you could potentially run some hand traps. I've gone for a bit more of a flexible interaction in the form of Book of Moon. Very powerful card. Yeah, what more can I say? Not once per turn, so seeing 3 of them is not a problem. I'm also running triple Forbidden Chalice. Again, not a issue. It can be chained, it can be played in the battles phase, it can be played in the standby phase. Hello VFD. So yeah, triple Forbidden Chalice. Also, we are running 1 Foolish Burial, 1 1-for-1, and 1 Monster one Mind Control. I would actually put a Monster Reborn, but I don't know where my copies of them have gone. They're in some deck somewhere. But these are self-explanatory. This allows you to basically tutor out your red-eyed dice should you need to. Foolish Burial can get your Den Daiko Duke into graveyard, or it can also send your Nyan Nyan, and then obviously Mind Control can obviously just bait and negate, or it can actually just take an opponent's monster. Either way, you're going to have some form of interaction with this, which will be useful. So yeah. Okay, ladies and gents, we are on to the extra deck, and we are running double high speed Roid Rubber Band Shooter, as well as Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. Now, I am kind of messing about with this. I'm considering running Hauki Fibrax and probably putting Despot 001 in just to boost the ceiling of this deck, but it's not necessarily needed. You can do a lot with the deck by itself as it is. High speed Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter allows you to get an additional normal summon, as well as dumping 1 card out of 2 cards that by revealing a synchro monster, and you can reveal 2 cards with that synchro monster's level or equal to that synchro monster's level. 1 gets added to your hand, the other 1 gets dumped to the graveyard. So typically you want to just like dump your 7s, or you can even dump a 4. It's really flexible card, and with Domino Butterfly in the deck, you can put back one of those extra deck monsters, so you're not necessarily at a loss. I'm actually considering doubling Domino Butterfly's ratio in this deck, mainly because of Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter, especially giving it an additional normal summon, because very often you'll get at least 2 monsters on board to be able to do what you're doing anyway. So yeah, that is it for the links. Next up, we are running the Synchro package. We're running 1 High Speed Roid Puzzle, 1 High Speed Roid Kendama, and 1 High Speed Roid Chambara. Nothing really needs to be said about these, ladies and gents. Very self-explanatory. This is the OTK machine, along with Car Turbo, It's just amazing. As high Speedroid puzzle allows you to add back a bit of recursion, because you typically want to send it off once it's summoned to the graveyard to get Invades effect to add a card from graveyard back to hand. And Kendama can actually lock you out of normal summoning, but it can special summon itself. It's fantastic. So yeah, nice interactions with those cards. We're also running one high Speedroid Hagwita, one clearing Fast Dragon, and one Stardust Charge Warrior in gold rare, ladies and gents. Very shiny. This is quite useful, especially getting a draw and being able to get just through your deck. Making 6s, making rank 7s, sorry, synchro 7s, synchro 6s, synchro 4s is not hard, especially with red eye dice being able to level modulate. You can get these out pretty easily. And Fast Dragon is just the issue, you can just keep coming back. It also goes into your pendulum zone, which is useful, because if you set up with Domino Butterfly in your pendulum zone, you can actually special summon via pendulum summon, which is just another way of just tutoring out some of your resources, which is really useful. So yeah, we are also running a Wind Pegasus at Agnista and a Virtual World Beast Juji. Very powerful. Again, these are wind, hence why we're using these. Jui allows you to send one card from the field to the graveyard, and it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects if you contain monsters of the same type and attribute, at least 2 in your graveyard, which typically is going to be machines, wind in our graveyard. So Speedroid are typically wind machines, and Virtual World Beast Jui just basically says that I'm just going to stay in the field for a while and just kind of like send a few of your cards away, which is really useful. Wind Pegasus at Agnista can actually shuffle one of your opponent's cards away if a card on the field gets destroyed, if this is in your graveyard. So again, it's a nice target to be able to just get into your graveyard and then continue your plays. And then finally, we are running one clearing Synchro Dragon. I typically use this with high Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter as a 7 to get my Den Daikyo Duke engraved, but it can be quite useful from time to time, but it's nowhere near as powerful as the Big Daddy boss monster himself, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. This is your main win condition, getting him on the field backed up with a few of your other synchro monsters. He is just a game winner. He gets big for no reason, he's got a monster negate. Yeah, what can I say? And then obviously the main guy, which is high Speedroid Kite Drake. I do have a second one in the side. This can blow up all cards in the field, or it can negate all your opponent's monsters on the field on its summon. So very powerful. As long as you get your timing right, this can win you the game along with Speedroid Car Turbo. So yeah, that is it for the deck, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gents, before we go, I thought I would show you somewhat of a very typical combo you can do. Now, what I will say is with Speedroids, there's no real set way to play. You kind of have to just see what you draw and then kind of like figure out your route to your end board, which is really interesting. And this is why I really like this deck, because you can go so many different ways with it. Now, I've chosen 2 cards here that you could typically, or potentially draw, or at least search into, Speedroid Terratop and Speedroid Car Turbo. So let us start us off. So I'm going to start by special summoning my Speedroid Terratop because I control no monsters. Terratop's then going to be able to grab me my Speedroid Tekatomborg, who will special summon himself. I'm then going to special summon my Car Turbo. I'm going to activate Tekatomborg's effect to send tribute himself. Send himself to the graveyard. I'll put the graveyard just over here for you guys. To special summon a Speedroid tuner from the deck. So in this instance, we are going to look for, where's he gone? Red Eye Dice. So Red Eye Dice, upon its summon, is going to activate its effect to be able to modulate levels. So I'll modulate levels to make this a 4, for example. Then I'm going to use these 2 cards to synchro off my Speedroid Hagwita. And as you can see, ladies and gents, let's put the graveyard here so you can see we've got a level 5 and a level 3 on board. So what can we do? We can go into our boss monster, which is our very powerful Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Now we've managed to do that without using a normal summon, so depending on what else you've got in hand, you can then continue to go off with your plays, ladies and gents, setting up whatever you need, potentially getting a Wing Pegasus at Ignister on field. If you had a double yo-yo in hand, you could actually normal summon it and get back one of your Speedroid tuners to special summon back to the field. The options are endless, and that's what I really love about this this deck. Now what I will say, ladies and gents, is look out for a live duel with it on the channel coming up. Definitely something I'm going to be bringing to you guys, and we're going to be hitting back with some more deck profiles, as I have been away IRL trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh and all that kind of stuff, so it is what it is. So we have found ourselves at the end of another video. If you do like this content, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.